Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and welcome to this edition of Business Icons. And I have a special guest, Gary Scheer. Gary, welcome to the show.
It's great to be with you, Kevin.
Hey, fantastic, thank you. Now, you're a nationally recognized author and speaker, as well as a retirement planning specialist. Now, that's a mouthful, okay? So,
Absolutely.
I mean, on a day-to-day basis, you have a lot of things going on there, but who is your kind of ideal client that you like to work with?
I work primarily with successful business owners, high-level corporate executives,
Okay.
professionals, in particular physicians, surgeons, and attorneys, and women on their own.
And I think entrepreneurs is included in that, so I
Absolutely.
even qualify, right?
Right.
So doctors, women, business executives, successful folks, right?
Right.
And because I think as a retirement planning specialist, the goal here is as people are living longer today, right?
Right.
You know, how long do people live? The average lifespan after retirement. Do you know what that number is?
It's now over 20 years.
Over
In
20
America,
years.
25 for women, and it's growing.
Yeah,
People are
so-
living longer than ever before.
Yeah, so it's important that they have a plan, right?
Absolutely.
And that's your job, is to get with them at the right moment to do this planning. Now, when you meet a physician or an executive, a woman that needs to start the plan, what is it that they actually want or need at that particular point in their life?
Well, pretty much across the board, they're looking to protect, preserve, and pass on their wealth to have a big impact on their family, friends, and the causes they care about deeply.
Right. So they want to protect their assets.
Right.
As we mentioned, they're living longer, so they want to be able to continue sort of a fun lifestyle.
Right.
Right, because they're no longer working, so they actually have more free time on their hands. And I've tried to think about what retirement would be for myself, and I'm thinking I don't know if I could handle it, okay, because I'd have so much free time. But certainly I'd be playing more golf, right? Because I love golf, but I like to travel and vacation and things like that too. So your goal is to help them support that lifestyle. But what about like tax planning, healthcare, things like that? Does that all comes into the equation here, right?
It does. In fact, there are 12 big obstacles that we talk about in our latest book with regard to retirement planning and taxes. It's like a dirty three-letter word. It's probably the biggest one that people are concerned about, because the more money they can save in taxes, the more they'll have available to do the things they want for themselves and their families.
Right. Yeah, the three-letter word, tax, T-A-X, or I-R-S. It goes both ways, right?
Exactly.
So now, how long have you been in this industry, and how'd you get into the business,
Well,
Gary?
I've been privileged to be a financial professional for over 35 years.
Oh my goodness, fantastic.
And something that happened to our family in the year 2000 changed the direction of my career.
Okay.
In fact, my wife's grandmother ran a successful knitting business for over 50 years.
Oh, wow.
And accumulated almost $500,000 in retirement nest egg.
Okay.
But if we go back to 1994, she actually slipped, broke her hip, which happens to a lot of
Right.
elderly people.
Yeah, sure.
And she ended up going to a multi-care facility, which is a combination of rehab and nursing home
Okay.
under one roof. After a couple of months, she largely recovered, but still walked with a walker. Told her family she wanted to remain in the facility. She liked being doted on. And,
Okay.
my in-laws were living in Florida in the winter at that time, and my wife's aunt, who had lived with her mother for over 3 decades at that point, even as a married woman, figured, well, she's not going to live that long. Why don't we just do this?
Right.
P.S. She lived for 6 years, and at a tune of $6,000 a month,
Oh, my goodness.
went through the bulk of her nest egg.
Oh,
and
my goodness, yeah.
by the time we realized
Not
what
a
really
good
happened,
plan, right? Yeah.
exactly. So I realized that if that happened to us, that and other things are probably happening to other people in their later stages of life.
Sure.
And I developed a passion for working with people who were in what we call the preservation and distribution phases
The preservation
of their investment lives.
Preservation of your assets.
Right.
That's important. People work very hard. You mentioned knitting. My mother loved to knit, and that it was probably for I don't know what that industry's like today, but she
Right.
certainly had built some assets, and now that you have learned all of this. So the years of your helping people plan. I'm sure you've seen some tragic things happen to people before you get a chance to get involved with them. So what are some of the tips that you give people based on the challenges that they have in their life?
It's all about planning. A lot of people think that they can do it themselves, and that may be the case when they're accumulating money.
Right.
But managing money when people are in a position to have to create a retirement paycheck when they're not working.
After they retire.
Right, is really the biggest thing. And it's important to have an advocate who's not, emotionally involved, who can look at the numbers in the family and kind of bring people together to have a solution and a blueprint for the last third of someone's life.
So at what age do you recommend people start thinking about their retirement planning?
In theory, when they start working, but in reality, because people have families and other expenses, probably in their early 50s.
Early
is the
50s,
point to,
right.
as they hit their peak earning years, and a lot of expenses may have gone by the wayside. They need to sock away more money, but do the other planning, the non-glamorous things. Most people want to talk about where to put money, but it's more important to be looking at the other things that could come up that are unsuspecting, and to do it when they're not under pressure.
Yeah, because if you start in the early 50s and you're a professional woman or a doctor or whatever background you have, entrepreneur, the things that you need to be thinking about, and we've talked about many of these, is income that you have to be able to continue to live a proper lifestyle.
Right.
Taxes become an issue, right? Healthcare becomes an issue, and also estate planning, because if you do have assets, you don't want them all just getting dissipated through not thinking about who's going to be taking them on from there. So these are all the components then of your retirement planning process, correct?
Very true. It's interesting you mentioned healthcare. A lot of people don't realize this, but Fidelity Investments did a study, and they actually update it every year with inflation to determine how much money people will spend on unreimbursed healthcare in retirement.
Yes.
And they found that figure is $250,000.
$250,000.
And that doesn't count long-term care expenses that
Right.
could come up.
Wow.
So it's a big thing. A lot of people don't think about it, but need to have that plan so they can enjoy their life, but still have a contingency should something happen.
You retire in mid-60s maybe, and then you're going to live another 20 or 25 years, hopefully, right? And so people definitely have issues with health, and so that's a big component. So as a planning specialist, do you put people through? Is it a system, or what kind of process do folks go through when they become part of the Gary Scheer umbrella?
So we actually have a unique 4-step process where we take retirees and people approaching retirement through a method where we help them eliminate their biggest retirement worries, fears, and obstacles so they can enjoy a worry-free retirement lifestyle.
Right. And so this is a 4-step process?
Correct.
Okay, so you've simplified it.
Exactly.
You make it easy for folks, right?
Right.
So because I know we've got folks out there that are listening. If they're maybe in their 50s, hopefully they haven't not done anything if you're in your 60s, because it's not too late if you're 60 years
Absolutely
old, though,
not.
right? I mean, I think the message here is now is the time if you're getting close to 50 or in your 50s or 60s. And this 4-step plan, where do they get the information about this? How do they track you down,
Right.
Gary?
The best way to do that is to go onto our website, which is GaryScheer.com. That's Gary, SCHEER.com. Or people can call us at 973-539-4100. And for your viewers, Kevin, I suggest that people look out for our special report, the 6 biggest obstacles that people face when planning their wealth.
The 6 biggest obstacles people face when planning their wealth. So that sounds like a great special report.
Absolutely.
And so anybody out there that would be interested in this, GaryScheer.com, and Scheer is spelled SCHEER.com, GaryScheer.com, and you're going to get the 6 biggest
Six
pitfalls.
biggest obstacles people
Obstacles.
face when planning their wealth.
When planning their wealth. So, well, that's amazing. This is free. There's no obligation. Check it out. Gary Scheer, good having you on the show today.
a pleasure, Kevin.
Thank you very much. And make sure you check that out, GaryScheer.com. Get the free report. And thank you for being here today for this edition of Business Icons.